find yourself at all? I mean, are you staying focused at the task at hand, or do you find yourself ever looking over your shoulder and wondering, when are they going to turn this thing over to Shadur? Does that ever cross your mind?
No, all I can do is control what I can. And, yeah.
This is as fair of an opportunity that I can give Dylan Gabriel. I'm giving you 2 weeks against a bad defense, a team that just blew up their team, a team that has 1 win on the season. If it's not today, Dylan will never play a game in his football career.
Nobody in Cleveland realized the entire season was about to crack open because of one harmless press conference question. Nobody thought a simple reporter tossing out a casual, "Do you ever wonder when they might turn things over to Shadur?" would hit the facility like a meteor. But the second the question landed, the entire room changed. Dylan Gabriel's face didn't just tighten.
And Jimmy Haslam said during training camp that you knew that seeing both young quarterbacks at some point this season was important. So just where is Shadur at as far as his development, and do you have a timetable of when you would take a look at him?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to speculate, Daryl. We're committed to getting better as an offense. Dylan is certainly committing to improving every which way he can, and all the while, all of them.
He froze like someone pressed pause on his soul. His eyes flickered, his shoulders stiffened, and in that instant, you could see it. He heard the footsteps behind him. He heard the whispers. He felt the pressure. And the only words he could offer were the exact words of a quarterback who knows the ground beneath him is cracking. All I can do is control what I can control. That's not confidence, that's survival mode. That's the sentence players use when the questions they fear have finally reached their doorstep. And while Dylan struggled through that answer, the rest of the building felt something shift. Because that was the moment the outside world realized what players and coaches had already sensed. This quarterback battle wasn't a storyline. It was a crisis.
Just be fine. He might be a backup quarterback. He'll never look good.
Well, and nobody's expecting him. Like the expectations with Dylan Gabriel was never really franchise quarterback. But like, if you play poorly today against the Jets, you might effectively play your way into being off this roster in its entirety next year. Like, forget being Colt McCoy and a really smart kid that could be around the organization and that could be a backup for 10 years. Like, all that could go out the window. Like, if you can't look serviceable against this Jets team today, I think it...
Meanwhile, the media kept pressing. Someone asked Stefanski where Shadur was in his development, expecting clarity, expecting assurance, expecting something. Instead, they got a coach dodging like he was trying to avoid responsibility in real time. Vague phrases, empty encouragement, no specifics, no conviction. Not even the confidence to set a timeline. And for the first time, fans watching the press conference felt the disconnect. Stefanski wasn't defending Dylan. He wasn't hyping Shadur. He wasn't leading. He was protecting himself. And that silence said more than any coach speak sentence could. Then came the Jets game. A disaster so embarrassing, it's going to live in Cleveland fan trauma forever.
Out there and the offense does the same exact thing every single week. Yeah. Nothing changes. Yeah. He has one good quarter a week and he has 2 good throws a game. Nothing changes. It doesn't. Put Shadur out there and see what Shadur does. If anything, like we just talked about Brian Daboll, if Shadur comes out there and he balls out and he plays lights out, you might not get fired in a couple weeks neither. If you keep on throwing Dylan Gabriel out there, you're going to get fired in a couple weeks.
The Jets barely broke 100 yards. They generated offensive production on the level of a malfunctioning toaster. Yet somehow, someway, they beat the Browns. Cleveland outgained them, out-talented them, outplayed them in every measurable category except the scoreboard. And the moment the clock hit 0, everything inside the Browns facility snapped. Fans erupted, players stewed, coaches panicked. The loss wasn't just bad, it was humiliating. It was the kind of loss that forces uncomfortable meetings, late-night calls, and emergency evaluations. And that's when the rumor ignited.
Question Daryl Ryder yesterday said, Kevin, what progress have you seen from Dylan Gabriel? What areas have you seen drastic improvement? Okay, this is an opportunity for your head coach to go ahead and highlight some things about your rookie quarterback that you insist upon shoving down our freaking throats. and tell us what you see from Dylan Gabriel that you take away as a positive. Because we don't see it, obviously. That's why Daryl's asking this question. We don't see it. We don't see the improvement. We don't see the positives for Dylan Gabriel. So what are they? And here's how Kevin answered, or, rather did not answer that question. So,
Word started circulating, loudly, not quietly, that a former Browns CEO, someone with real influence and no filter, stormed into conversations demanding one thing: end the Dylan Gabriel experiment and start Shedeur Sanders immediately. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more, we need more time. According to whispers, this ex-CEO was pulling up Colorado highlights, rewinding plays, comparing poise, comparing talent, pointing straight at the future the Browns were ignoring. And reportedly, he wasn't asking, he was insisting.
Saying that he's sticking with you going forward, not that he shouldn't, it's just that at 2-7 sometimes things change.
Yep.
But he's sticking with you. How do you feel about the opportunity to build on, what you did today and move forward?
Yeah, when things aren't going well, there's always going to be change. That's part of it, because if you keep doing the same thing and don't change anything, then it's insanity. But just I feel like at times there's things that went well and we sustained and executed, and then in certain moments.
Meanwhile, the locker room was reaching its own breaking point. Veterans pretending to stay calm. Younger players confused. The offense quietly frustrated. The defense outright furious. And nobody embodied that frustration more than Myles Garrett, walking off the field after delivering a monster performance only for the offense to collapse behind him. His face said everything. He didn't need words. Every hit he made, every sack he earned, every stop he forced, all wasted, all meaningless. Because the quarterback couldn't move the ball. Inside the building, people started asking the one question nobody wanted to say out loud. How many more games do we waste pretending this is fine? The next day, reporters cornered Dylan again. They asked about the sacks, the pressure, the collapsing offense. And the man gave answers that sounded less like a quarterback and more like an employee reading off a corporate script someone else wrote. We'll execute better. We have to sustain drives. Control what I can control. Not one spark. Not one moment of command. Not one sentence that made players think he was going to lead them somewhere other than another loss. And while Dylan gave those scripted lines, everyone was thinking the same thing. Shadur wouldn't be talking like this. Shadur wouldn't be stumbling for answers. Shadur wouldn't be shrinking under pressure. He'd stare down the microphone, call out the problems, and promise solutions with the confidence of a quarterback who's been under a spotlight his entire life. That contrast, Dylan's hesitation versus Shedur's natural fire, only added fuel to the internal conflict tearing through the Browns' facility. Stefanski found himself boxed in. If he benched Dylan, he'd be admitting he made a mistake. If he kept playing him, he'd be risking the entire season and possibly his job. Ownership was uneasy. The GM had his own opinions. Coaches were divided. And the fan base? They didn't want patience. They wanted life. They wanted hope. Behind closed doors, the tension was boiling into something impossible to ignore. Every meeting felt heavier. Every conversation felt loaded. And hovering over it all was the same unspoken truth. Shedeur Sanders was the spark everyone kept waiting for, and the team was running out of excuses not to use him. Even players who wouldn't dare say it publicly were starting to wonder how much longer they were supposed to pretend everything was fine. Myles Garrett wasn't destroying offensive lines just to watch the offense trip over its own shoelaces. Veteran receivers weren't running perfect routes just to get rewarded with checkdowns. And the locker room could feel the imbalance. They were a talented roster, shackled to a quarterback who couldn't elevate them. Meanwhile, the ex-CEO's rumored push created a second storm. He reportedly demanded accountability, demanded urgency, demanded the organization stop pretending Dylan would magically become something he never showed on tape. He pointed at Shadur like a solution hiding in plain sight. Leadership, poise, charisma. The ability to take hits and deliver throws most quarterbacks wouldn't attempt. What happens when the stadium, already simmering with frustration, erupts in a unified boo so loud it becomes a message ownership can't ignore. Fans weren't just irritated, they were exhausted. Tired of hope turning into disappointment. Tired of watching elite defensive performances get wasted. Tired of watching a quarterback play football like he was running a tutorial mode. And they knew exactly who was sitting on the bench, waiting, watching, ready. Shadur didn't need to campaign. He didn't need to call out coaches. He didn't need to stir anything. His talent spoke for him. His presence spoke for him. Every highlight from Colorado was a reminder of what he could bring. Arm strength, mobility, poise under fire, swagger. The moment the job became his, the entire NFL world would stop and watch. And that made the pressure on Stefanski almost unbearable. Because if he kept Dylan, and the Browns kept losing, the blame wasn't going to Dylan. It was landing squarely on him. The media felt it. The fans felt it. Even the players felt it. It created an identity crisis. A franchise stuck between fear and ambition. Stick with the safe choice and sink, or gamble on the future and rise. Because everyone knew the truth. Shadur did more with less. Dylan did less with more. Put Shadur in that Jets game, and Cleveland wins by 3 touchdowns. Put Shadur behind that offensive line, and he escapes, improvises, creates. The kid has been dodging defenders for years. Pressure never scared him. It fueled him. And for the Browns, a team desperate for a pulse, desperate for momentum, desperate for relevance. He represented more than a quarterback. He represented direction, hope, identity. And that's why the tension kept growing. Because the longer Cleveland pretended this wasn't obvious, the louder the whispers became. The louder the fan base became. The louder the media became. Until finally, it reached the breaking point. The moment someone in the building, someone who couldn't take another second of denial, reportedly called out the truth. Why are we wasting time? Why aren't we giving Shadur the ball? And once that question is spoken out loud, there's no putting it back. There's no pretending everything is fine. There's no protecting the old plan. From that moment forward, the clock starts ticking. The Dylan Gabriel era is already fading. The Shedeur Sanders era is already forming. And the Browns, whether they're ready or not, are about to face the moment that will define their entire season.
Did anybody hear in that word salad a bullshit one thing that he can point out that Dylan Gabriel has improved upon or is doing well? Nope, I didn't hear it either. It's not there. He had nothing. He didn't have an answer. It speaks volumes that you can't point out one single thing that your rookie quarterback, that you handpicked, that you designated for first team reps and opportunities from day one of minicamp after he was drafted. All this time, 5 starts in the NFL, most starts ever in college football.